Hello and welcome my friends and viewers as well. Today's class I am going to solve few multiple choice questions which could be useful for NET, GATE and all those examinations. So in today's class I am going to solve few questions. Let us start. First question is, in a binomial distribution, sum of mean and variance is 15 and their product is 54. The sum of mean plus variance is 15 and mean into variance is 54. Find a number of observations, that is, we have to find out n. Now in binomial distribution, mean is np and variance is npq. So by question, np plus npq is 15 and np into npq is 54. In this equality we can take np as common, so 1 plus q is 15 and here n square p square q is 54. This could be written as np is 15 by 1 plus q and this n square p square is 54 by q. If this is squared on both sides, so n square p square is 225 by 1 plus q square. Now these two equalities are the similar. This is also n square p square, it is also n square p square, so these two must be equated. Hence 225 by 1 plus q square is 54 by q, and by cross multiplication 54 and into 1 plus q square, let it be opened up. So q square plus 2q plus 1 is 225q. This is 54q square plus 108q plus 54, and this 225q has to be taken to left hand side. So minus 225q is 0. Now we have a quadratic equation, 54q square minus 225q and 108q. So minus 117q plus 54. This is a this is a quadratic equation. This has to be solved and we can't factor it. So q would be minus 117 plus minus 117 square minus 4 into 54 into 54, and this whole divided by 2 into 54. Now when this is solved, we shall get one value, that is 117 plus minus, and when this is worked out we shall get it 45 and divided by 108. So if we take the positive sign, the value of q would become greater than 1, which is not possible, so we must go through the negative sign. So 117 minus 45 by 108, 72 by 108, and this comes to 0.6 recurring. It is bigger, 0.6 recurring. So q has become 0.6. So definitely p is 1 minus q, 1 minus 0.6, that is 0.4. Now we have got the value of q and p, so let it erase it. Now q is 0.6, p is 0.4. Now from any of the equation, if we take it, we shall get the value. So from this one, n is 15 by p and into 1 plus q. That is 15 into 0.4 or 1 plus 0.6, that is 15 by 0.4 into 1.6 to 15 by 0.64, and this comes to 23. So n would be 23. So this is how we just calculate in a binomial distribution. If the sum of mean and variance as well as the product of mean and variance is taken, we just proceed in this way, and this is how we have got the value of n equal to 28. Now come to second question, what it tells. In a Keynesian consumption function, we have given a Keynesian consumption function, then we have to choose the wrong answer. So let us see what has been given. In a Keynesian consumption theory, consumption function is this one. Now it has choose the wrong one. MPC is independent of y. Now let us understand. C is alpha 0 plus by, then MPC is dc by dy, that is b absolutely free from y. So MPC is absolutely independent of y, so that is correct answer. MPC is dependent on y, yes, MPC is not so this is the wrong answer. APC falls as income rises, yes. In this consumption function, as income is raised, of course MPC remains constant, but APC falls. C is 50 plus 0.6y. Let y is 10. Then APC is C by y, this is C, so 50 plus 0.6 into 10 and divided by 10, that is 56 by 10 and 5.6. So if y is 10, APC has become 5.6. Let y be increased to 50. Let us see what happens. APC C by y 50 plus 0.6 into 50 and divided by 50. So 50 and 30 and divided by 50. So 80 by 50, APC has diminished. So in Keynesian consumption function, as income increases, MPC remains constant, but absolutely APC falls. If there is a long run consumption function like this, here equation would be C by. In this is the short run consumption function given by Keynes, and this is the long run consumption function whose equation is C equals by, no autonomous part. For this consumption function, APC is MPC is B. So for such consumption functions, APC and MPC both are absolutely equal, both equals B, and this is independent of the level of income. And third type of consumption function is this one. This is a very abnormal consumption function, but in few countries such consumption functions have been found, particularly in West Indian countries. There in few countries this consumption function was estimated, and consumption function had negative intercept. This negative intercept, a very unusual phenomena in economics, but here it can be explained that when income increased from 0 up to y1 in this domain, people wanted to save instead of consuming. So from here to this part of income, saving was positive and this consumption was negative. For such consumption functions, minus a plus by, MPC remains b constant because it is a linear curve, but as income increases, APC rises. In Keynesian case, APC falls. In long run consumption function, APC, MPC remains constant for any level of income, and if consumption function has a negative intercept, then as income increases, APC rises. So this is what about the all these are three types of consumption functions that I have explained. Now the third question relates to econometrics and identification chapter. Three equations are given, and here it has been asked that whether first equation is under, over, or exactly identified. So we must remember the order condition. Order condition is K minus M is greater than or equal to G minus 1, where K is a total number of variables in the model and M is the total number of variables in the equation, and G is the number of equations. Now when we go to identify first equation, G is already 3 because we have 3 equations, y1, y2, y3, and the total number of variables in the model, exogenous plus endogenous. So endogenous is absolutely visible, y1, y2, y3, these are the endogenous variables. So 3 endogenous variables and exogenous variables x1, x2 and x3. So 3 are the exogenous variables. So K is 6, and the equation which is to be identified, equation number 1, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So in equation number 1, number of variable is 5. So here K minus M, 6 minus 5, 1, and G minus 1, 3 minus 1, 2. Since K minus M is smaller than G minus 1, hence first equation is under identified. Under identified. So this is how we use the order condition for finding the identification state. Of course, there is another condition also, that is the rank condition. It has not been asked here. So as far as the order condition is concerned, this first equation is under identified. So this is what. Now let me explain another question. Now this is question number 4. Here we have been given certain things in list 1 and certain expressions in list 2. We have to match one. Now coefficient of variation is SD by mean. So definitely this is. Coefficient of correlation is this one. Coefficient of skewness is mu3 by sigma cube. Mu3 is a third moment around the mean. This formula is just in terms of moments. So this is third moment around the mean divided by cube of SD. And kurtosis, so kurtosis is 1, that is fourth moment around mean and divided by SD to the power 4. So this is how these are matched. These are the formulas that has to be kept in mind. Now number 5, A drives his cycle from home to office at 30 km per hour and from office to home at 20 km per hour. Find average speed in whole journey. Most often on such questions are asked. Home and office. While going from home to office, the speed was 30 km per hour, and from office to home it was 20 km per hour. On an average, students would try to solve this sum with the help of time and distance, but no, you must keep it in mind that this type of sum where we have the several average speeds and we have to find the average speed of the whole journey, then there in such case we have to use harmonic mean. Harmonic mean So harmonic mean of these two speed would be the average speed in whole of the journey. So instead of approaching the sum through time and distance, this must be solved with harmonic mean. So here two speeds are 20 and 30. Now harmonic mean is found by the formula reciprocal of arithmetic mean of the reciprocals of x. So this is how we shall calculate. Now summation 1 by x is 1 by 20 plus 1 by 30, that is 60, 3 plus 2, 5 by 60, hence average speed in entire journey is 1, and here n is 2, number of observations are 2, so this is 1 by 2 and into this 5 by 60, that is summation 1 by x, and 5 by 60, that is 120 by 5, and hence 24 kilometer per hour. So this is how this would be the answer one. Now related to this sum, here we calculated harmonic mean without any frequency, but if we have the different speeds and different distances also, then there is another sum that from A to B it was 10 kilometer and the speed was 50 kilometer per hour. From B to C it was 20 kilometer and the speed was 55 kilometer per hour. So find the average speed from A to C. There is a difference in between these two sums. Here distance was similar from both way. So we just found out the harmonic mean or the average speed without using any frequency. But if we have the different distances and different average speeds also, then it would be calculated as x and f. X would be the two different speeds, 10, 20, and frequency would be the different distances, 50 and 55. So f by x, 50 by 10, 55 by 20. So if summation f by x is 5 plus 11 by 4, 55 by 20 could be written as 11 by 4, and this is 31 by 4, hence average speed in entire journey hm of x, that is 1 upon 1 by n summation f by x. N would be the sum of frequencies, that is 105. So 1 by 1 upon 105 and into 31 by 4. So 420 by 31, and this could be calculated and we shall get the value. So this is how the average speed is found out when we have the different speeds and different distances. Then we shall be using this formula, and if we have the same distance but different speeds, then we shall approach through this one. So this is how such sums are being solved. Now this question is, we have given the demand function, that is x is 50 plus 4p minus 2p square. So we have to find elasticity at p equals 5. Mathematically, when we go to calculate elasticity of demand, first of all we have to observe that what kind of function it is. So here it is, demand is the function of price, so elasticity would be marginal function by average function dx by dp, x by p, and dx by dp is 4 minus 4p and divided by x, 50 plus 4p minus 2p square and divided by p. This p will go in the numerator, so p 4 minus 4p and divided by 50 plus 4p minus 2p square. One thing has to be seen here, that when we go to calculate elasticity mathematically, the entire expressions must be preceded by negative sign. Here nowhere negative sign is visible. So first of all we have to extract the negative sign. So minus p 4p minus 4 and divided by 50 plus 4p minus 2p square. Now at p equal to 5, elasticity is 5 into 20 minus 4 and divided by 50 plus 20 minus 50. So 16 into 5, 80 by 20, and it is 4. So if the demand function is x as a function of p, then we must calculate elasticity as mf by af. Had it been in the form p as a function of x, we should calculate E as average function by marginal function p by x and dp by dx. So these two things have to be kept in mind while we go to calculate elasticity from the given demand function. So either it is x as a function of p or p as a function of s, and accordingly we have to use the formula. So this is what. Now here taxed buoyancy. So taxed buoyancy is change in revenue this and this divided by change in GDP. So change in revenue 109 minus 100, and it is 112 minus 100 and into 100. This is multiplied by 100. So 9 by 12 into 100, and so 3 by 4 and into 100. Either you can write the answer 3 by 4, it could be 0.75, may not be multiplied by 100. So this is 0.75. So this is how we just calculate the tax. Seventh one, this seventh sum was left over. Seventh sum is we are given the demand and supply functions, and we have to calculate the equilibrium price. So in this context, just I am giving a shortcut formula. If Q is alpha minus beta P and QS is A plus BP, then equilibrium price would be alpha minus A divided by beta plus B. So the difference of intercepts and the sum of the slopes. Now here QD is 19 minus 2P, and this is minus 9 plus 2P. So equilibrium price would be 19 minus 9 and 2 plus 2, that is 28 by 4. So equilibrium price is 7. Need not to solve both of the equations simultaneously. No, need not. You just use this formula, and this is how we get the equilibrium price. And equilibrium quantity, put this value in any equation. So 19 minus 2P, 19 minus 2 into 7, so 5. So equilibrium price happens to be 7 and equilibrium quantity happens to be 5. So this is 5 and this is 7. This is QD and this is QS. So This is how we calculate, and this thing has to be kept in memory, that equilibrium price is the difference of intercept divided by the sum of the slope of the two functions. This is the slope of demand function and this is the slope of supply functions. We shall get the value in no time. So this is how I have solved the 8 sums. In next video I am just going to solve few more sums, but for this class this is all for today. Thanks. Finally, one thing to students once again, that in my view or in my opinion, whenever I think that these questions are important or these questions might be tougher for the students, I am just solving in the class. But it remains a task for you people also, that whenever you just come across with any such questions that you can't solve, or you are having problem, or you just don't have any explanation, you do ask me in the comment and I'll be explaining the question in the class itself. So I am here for that, and it is absolutely free class. You should not have any kind of hesitations in just asking me anything and everything regarding economics, and I'll be answering in the class. So I'll be expecting some few queries from you, and I'll be answering in the class. So this is how next class I'll be again solving few more questions. Thanks.